Everyone, this is Elena and welcome. Here's another card I made using the add-on stamp set for the December My Monthly Hero from Hero Arts. And I made a pop-up card. So here is the base for my pop-up card. It measures 7.5 by 4 inches. Actually, I think it's 4.5 inches. And I'm marking it up at 3 3/4 on both sides, and I'm drawing the line. This will be the score line, the base score line that goes in the middle of the card base. So that will be the spine of the insert. Next, I'm measuring about 3/4 inches down below that line. And after I drew the line, I realized that this was like too wide and the pop-up will be too deep. So after I drew the line, I went back and I measured about 1/2 inch, a little bit over 1/2 inch on both sides. I made the marks and then I erased the line that's below it. So this will be kind of where our how deep our pop-up will be. I know that you're not able to see much from the pencil lines on the video, but shortly I will show you the diagram, as well I'll have it posted on my blog, so where you can see what are the score lines and what are the cut lines and how the lines go. So next I'm measuring 1 inch from the left and the right of the card, and then I'll draw lines from the bottom horizontal line upward at 1 inch, like vertical lines on both sides. And I didn't measure the top because we'll have the balloons and that will kind of follow along the balloons and then determine where we want to finish those that pop-up. So there we have that. Then I'm erasing just the lines in the middle that I don't need, and some stray pencil marks or ink marks on my cardstock. Next, so here's the diagram. So we have 2 vertical lines and 2 horizontal lines. So next I'll be using my Misty to make that scene that will pop up. I'll be using 2 balloons and then the sentiment. So I'm trying to keep it simple so I don't overwhelm you with the technique. So here's the balloon. I want that one to be higher up. And then I'm using some of the Kelly Purkey ink cubes. And then I'm going with a darker one, and then with a towel removing the ink partially. So we have kind of shadow on the balloon. So there we have that. Next I'm just going to use my heat gun because I overloaded it with ink. So when I stamp the second balloon, the inks won't bleed into each other. So I'm going to put it back in my Misty and then position the same balloon again. So a little bit lower. And and then see where the sentiment I want to go, see how it looks like, or if I want to change the sentiment. So there's my balloon. I'll pick it up with the lid of the Misty, and then I'll be using some of the red tone, like the pale tomato and royal red, to stamp that balloon. After I'm done with the balloon, I did the same technique for the balloon, and then I'm stamping the little, what's called, strings for the balloons. So I'm using soft brown ink to stamp those. And then on the bottom, I'm gonna mask here with some sticky note. So I'm not going below that bottom line that I have drawn with the pencil. And then next, I'm positioning the sentiment, and I'm using the grid transparency. I downloaded this grid transparency from the My Sweet Petunia website, and then I just printed it onto blank transparency using my laser printer. Next, I'm using the intense black Hero Arts ink, and I'm stamping it 3 times to get that really deep black color. So now we have that. So our kind of scene is created. Next, I'll go around, I'll draw lines like the outlines with a pencil around the balloons where I want to cut. I'm just drawing around, and kind of on the right side, kind of stopping where I want that scene to end, and then on the left side I'm connecting that outline with the left vertical line. So then I'm marking where I want to end, and then I'm drawing a horizontal line parallel with the other two lines, and then again half an inch, about half an inch, same distance like between the lines on the bottom. I'm drawing another line on top, so this will make sure that our pop-up is even on the top and bottom, and it pops up nicely and fits nicely into the card. So here is the diagram again, and again I'll have those on my blog so you can see how the lines go. So the red lines are cut lines and the green lines are score lines. So let's start with the cut lines, and I'm going from the bottom line up to the balloon where the outline intersects the balloon outline, that vertical line, and I'm doing the same on the right side. I'm just going to the top horizontal line that we drew. So next I drew the outline so I can cut along those, and I'm gonna go to the outline for the balloon that intersects with the bottom of the top two horizontal line. So see how it's there. So okay, there we have. And next I'll use my scoring tool. I'm just gonna score. So for the bottom line, I'm scoring in the middle between the two vertical lines, and then the middle one, which is the base of the spine of our pop-up, I'm just scoring left and right from the vertical lines. And then I'm doing scoring along the top two horizontal lines too. So next I'm just gonna fold along all the scored lines. You see how the pop-up came up, kind of popped up. So next I'm just using my scissors to cut any stray pieces, and then with the sand eraser I'm just sanding along the lines so it kind of makes looks a little bit nicer. So now that we're done with that pop-up element, I'm just erasing all the pencil lines. So now that I'm done with that, I'm just gonna put it aside. Kind of see how it will fit inside the note card. So I'm gonna put that aside, and next I'm just gonna create the front of the card. I'm using some Canson watercolor paper and Zig real brush markers. So I'm just picking up some of the color that I put on the acrylic block with paintbrush and doing some very light watercolor wash onto my watercolor paper. So then I'm just adding some directly with the marker to get a little bit darker color, and just heat setting it so I can stamp on top of it. So next I'm using this confetti stamp, and first I was gonna do with the marker, but then I just decided to go with the ink pad because it was a little bit darker. So I'm just randomly stamping those. So now we have that, and I'm gonna die cut 2 balloons and 2 strings, and I'm gonna cut some fun foam to add dimension to my layer. So there we have that. So next I'll be using my MISTI to stamp the balloons onto the already pre-cut balloons. And I'm gonna be doing the same colors as we had for inside the card. So I'm just stamping here on that scrap paper, and then I'm gonna position the negative from the die cut, kind of secure it with a magnet, and then just slide in my die cut and stamp on it. So I'm stamping a couple times, and then I'm gonna do with the darker ink the same technique that we use for the pop-up element. So there we have that one, and then we'll do the red one. I'm using pale tomato and a royal red. I'm just dabbing some of that ink and stamping onto my die cut. Next, I'll stamp the strings using the soft brown. So I'm just doing the same thing as I did for the balloon. I'm positioning it there, picking it with the lid of the MISTI, and then stamping on that scrap paper and then positioning the negative on top of it. So I'm just sliding in that die cut in there, and that one's done. Kind of making sure that's positioned nicely. I'm going doing the same with the second one. So there we have the strings. So let's see how they will fit onto the card. I think that they're good there. Next, I'm using some washi tape from Target. I really like this gold foil washi tape they had in the Christmas section at Target. So I'm just adding some of that, and then I'm gonna add some gold foil strip. But before I do that, I'm gonna stamp the sentiment. I'm using the Celebrate It's Your Day. I'm gonna stamp a couple times, kind of overstamp a couple times we're using Versamark ink, and then I will emboss it with gold embossing powder. So I'm first scrubbing that embossing body so I don't have any stray embossing powder on my card. So I'm stamping it 3 times, and then, as I said, I will emboss it with the powder. And here on the washi tape, I think that adhesive didn't come out completely because it was a new roll, so that part was a little bit stickier. So I'm just removing it with some paintbrush, and then using my heat gun, I'll just melt the embossing powder. So now that's done. Now I'm adding that gold foil strip. I'm just using Tombow liquid mono adhesive. Just adding that, making sure it's parallel with the edges of the card, and then trimming the excess. Next, I will just adhere the balloons. Well, I'll add some gold string, gold thread, and it was too thick, so I removed one of the threads. It had 3, so I'm using just 2, and I just did a little kind of circle, and then using the dimensionals, I'll adhere the balloons on top of it, so that will hold the string down and adhere it onto the card. But before I do that, I will adhere the fun foam on the back of the card, because it's easier to do it now than after we have the balloons on the card, because they add some dimension and they will create an uneven surface. So there we have the second, and next I'll just add the strings and trim the excess of the gold thread. I'm just adding some of that Tombow liquid adhesive. And then on the back, I'm just gonna trim the excess. So now that we're done, we can just add that to the card, and now I'm deciding which one. I was gonna use the pull note cards, and then I decided just to go with a white, basic white card base. I'm just adhering there, and then inside I'll adhere the pop-up element. So we have that. I'm just gonna add some of the same washi tape that we have on the front. I'll add on the top and the bottom. And we're almost done here. I'll add some adhesive on the back. Just make sure that you don't add adhesive on that pop-up element, because we don't want that one to be adhered onto the card base. So just add below it and leave that space empty. And then just put it in the center and close your card, press it down so that adheres nicely. So there we have the card. Thanks for watching and see you soon in another video. Bye!